Dong Dong,
Dong Dong,
and Zing Zang.
Zing Zang,
Zing Zang. Zing Zang. Zing Zang.
Zing Zang.
Dong Dong.
It's a Gold Coast
In the worlds before Monkey, primal chaos reigned.
It's different being interviewed rather than being the interviewer.
Yeah, right.
It really is.
Yeah. Nice warm fit, Cam. Put it there.
Drew, how are you? Oh, who is this?
Is that mine?
Someone's ringing. That rings a bell. Is that Ricka?
Cam Jackson, put it there.
Drew, how you going?
Mate, you would understand this.
What a day.
You would
What a
understand
day.
this.
Uh-huh.
Having your own show, MyGC.
Yes.
Let's talk about it. Just before we press go on here, my little recording setup is GarageBand running through a couple of interfaces, and it's all just plugs and wires, and what you hear in your ear sometimes isn't actually recording. So we've had to restart this, twice now?
Oh, that's okay. Twice is good. You should see how many times I have to restart the show I do. Ooh.
Yeah, but do you? Do you actually find... Have you ever had that great take that didn't actually record and...
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Makes you cry. I had one just today when I was recording an ad, because as well as doing the Good Morning Gold Coast, the company gets me to record these little standalone ads, which they've coined to be called Cam's Cam, because it's almost like there's nothing like it, because there's one, it's me with a camera and a microphone, and I've just got to innovate and come up with a commercial for something. Today it was Pacific Fair, which is one of the big shopping centres, and I had a great take, and the problem was when I transferred it to the computer, my computer crashed, and it copied almost all of the data and missed the end. So, you ended up with a wonderful take, and you've just got to innovate. It's like anything. With this, things are guaranteed to go wrong. It's how you respond to it, it's how you react, and how you sort of tweak your product. And I find it a lot of fun. A challenge makes you want to cry, but you go on.
So, you've come from live radio, so Darwin and Cairns.
Yeah.
How much does that happen often? Of course it would, but I couldn't tell you the last time I heard an actual mistake or anything.
Where's that?
On any radio, but the time I did do it was. Have you ever heard? It's quite famous when Merrick and Rosso were on Triple J. About maybe 15 years ago, there was apparently a button in the studio that goes, "Do not touch this button on the desk." He said, "I'm going to touch it." He said, "Don't touch it." And you could hear the producer going, "Don't touch it, you bloody dickhead." And
There's
he goes,
a reason.
"I'm going to touch it." Bang! And all of a sudden, they were still recording, but everything was gone. And the beauty of this recording, which you can look up, was you could hear the producer, Zan Rowe, maybe, I don't know, she's actually at a radio. She went, "You fucking dickhead, what have you done?" But it was all live to national broadcast, her going crazy at Merrick, like, for pressing this button. She didn't know that it was still broadcasting, but all their system went in the studio.
But still the microphones were on.
Oh, yeah.
See, that's gold. That could have won an award of some sort.
Hey, look at me, I'm still talking about it.
Yeah. So mistakes happen, and live radio. I think nowadays as well, there are tricks that they do where they can pre-record some bits and play it back. So it sounds live and it's almost live, but certain segments are pre-recorded, which is how it can become a little bit more, with commercial radio, it's always about just going bang, 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 as flowing as possible, as few breaks, as few silence pauses as possible, which is good and bad.
Yeah. I could imagine, hey, Matt G, photographer champion, is in the room. We're waiting for Ricka Waters, Rick's Rocks, to get here. She's been a lawyer's assistant. She's a translator, actually, at the moment, Japanese translator. So
wow,
she's on her way. But where I was going with this, Matt, okay, question for you. You and I, I've got a few jobs. I've always had a few jobs.
Yeah.
I can... This is how I wake up every day, and I'm sure it's the same for you, Matt, because I often see you down the beach with your surfboard, you bloody bludger. No, I mean that in the best way,
He lives on the Gold Coast. Can you blame him?
I do not even mean that. I don't even mean bludgeon, But when I can open my eyes and go, well, it's not Sunday, but I don't have any meetings at 9 or 10. I can pick up that coffee, have a calm one down at Iron and Resin, just cruise into work. Mm-hmm. But for you guys, there's a definite time. There's a definite going to air, doing this. That must age you, mate. That must stress any person out.
You get used to it. You really grow into that pressure because you stop thinking so much that the entire world is watching you, and you start just talking to whoever's in the room. Or, I've always found the best way to talk is to treat like you're just talking to one person. If you start trying to think like you're preaching to an entire planet, which the first time you get on radio and you think, shit, that microphone is on and it's beaming my voice out to anyone. Any mistake I make is going to be caught.
They're judging me.
Yeah. But the moment you stop thinking about that, stop overthinking, people want to have good radio. They don't want you to fail. It's like anything in public. People do not want to see the person failing. Sometimes it's entertaining, but most of the time they don't. And they want you to succeed. So, be natural, be yourself. Not all of us have that deep John Laws voice, that John Laws has and many other radio broadcasters of the past. Now it's just about being yourself.
Yeah.
And that's really helped me with the vodcast that I do, Good Morning Gold Coast, where I have to every morning get up at about 4 o'clock and, work out what is topical for our local audience, a Gold Coast audience. What do Gold Coasters need to know? What sort of news stories, what sort of events are happening around the place? And research that, write it into a script, and then put it, go out and find a location around the Gold Coast and start talking about it and talking to the camera as if the camera's name is Gold Coast. Like, hey, g'day Gold Coast, how are you? So that, for me, that's how I've overcome any sorts of concern that, everyone's watching me, and instead, like, I still have to be keenly aware that anything I say can and will be held against me, but I don't overthink it. You just have to be aware of where the line is and not cross it. Go close to it, but don't cross it.
So I won't mention it now, but I've done a podcast in the past with someone from radio, and she made a monumental mistake.
Oh, no.
And I know her personally from working in one of these other jobs that I was talking about. And I'm talking about someone who I love as a mate, but she's very opinionated. One of these people that has a very strong opinion, and if you're in the room, you go, oh, I either love you or I flat out can't stand you.
Yeah.
So she finds herself on radio, like big time radio, breakfast radio. She says one of her big opinions at the wrong time. Not so much an opinion, it was just a joke, and I really feel sorry for her, but it ruined her career. So I bring that up because are you... I don't strike you, and I've only met you for a couple of hours, if that, an opinionated type, because I don't think I am. Actually, when were you born?
1987.
Did you say Liberin?
Huh?
1987?
87, yeah.
You bloody young buck.
Born in April. I'm a Taurus. I'm a fire rabbit.
Born in April. What does that mean, Matt G? Well, okay, let's get this. Let's get some hippie stuff out now.
No idea.
No idea. When were you born?
I'm June.
June.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a June Gemini.
Gemini. Oh, two-faced.
Two-faced.
Bloody two-faced.
Really?
That's
I
what
believe
it means.
it, but I am two-faced.
Really? Okay. Well, I'm a Libran, so we're not that I get into this, but it is a big trait of mine to see both sides. Like, we're all apparently... Librans are a lot like that.
Yeah. Well, you're quite balanced. Is that the guys who hold the scale? Is that what Librans?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're... some people say you're great for radio because you won't go deep and push, well, you know what I think about Trump, blah, 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 and accidentally say... accidentally put some opinions out there that next minute all the sponsors from a big FM station are going, ding, 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 get him off.
See, I think the trick around that is on radio. Yeah, look, you've got some people like who are big names because of their opinions,
right.
And that is good. But for me, I find it better to say what is the question that everyone has a big opinion about. For instance, at the moment, are developers influencing the city council? I don't feel it's my view. I think it would be... I don't have enough information most of the time. And I don't think any of us have the full picture So to give a bold, brash opinion, unless you're right in it, is really just, it comes across, I would find it ignorant and I couldn't do it. I'm happy to go, this is the question, here's some facts I know, what do you know? And I'm happy to be corrected. Yeah. Like, I find if you can say, this is what I know so far, but I can be wrong, and if you know more facts, please let me know. I think people are happier to come on board and sort of support, and feed the comments until you can build the picture.
And does it also happen, because I'm from Brisbane, basically, but the outskirts of Brisbane, like the in between Logan, basically. So we're...
You didn't want to say that in the beginning, did you?
Oh, yeah.
There's nothing wrong with Logan, although I've heard.
Oh, there is.
Is
no. Oh. It's just miserable. It's halfway between a big city and a great beach.
Okay.
And it's a long enough drive for you to miss out on either being cool at the beach or being cool in the inner city.
Right.
So,
okay.
So the Hyperdome is pretty great. But no, what I'm getting at here is, okay, you've come from Darwin.
Yeah.
Which is a very colourful part of the world.
It's known for being croc country.
Yeah, croc country, where the big topics, it's famous for laughing at the big topics, yeah? And then you've got Cairns, which is a big tourist sort of, particularly Japanese.
Japanese, Chinese, who else? Italian, I think.
Yep.
The Japanese bought up some big golf courses and stuff in the heyday, like 50 years ago. Yeah. And it's since when a few economic things happened, they left.
It got so expensive here.
Yeah.
Right. So, by nature, but if you grew up in Melbourne, it's cold, it's raining. You could have developer opinions.
Yes.
I couldn't imagine you being hired at a big network radio station on the Gold Coast, being a John Laws type. I don't think it may suit the demographic. Would you say? Because everyone's here for, even though we may bullshit ourselves, we want to feel like we're on
holiday,
on the beach
the whole time. Yeah, I don't think people want to be told what to think, and I think people are smarting up as well. That as to there are bigger things at play than what we have. Like than what you can see. There are bigger powers at play. Be it we've got almost a perception that it's just. What you see is what you get, and you've got your little bubble of my home life, my school life, my work life, the initial local government, maybe state government and politics, and you get involved in a little bit of that in a couple of sports clubs, but there are other people and other things pulling strings that just mean that it's not always ever black and white. And it's really, that's one thing that frustrates me as a journalist, that the more I find out about what I have been taught in the past at school of this is how things are, the more I realise that there is so much more, and it's so much more complex.
Ever shifting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and people who... Anyway, I should...
He's always taking our beers away.
I could get into that, but again, I don't like...
But you don't want to.
Pushing...
Me either. No. Well, do you really want... I don't, by nature.
I'd love to get into
I feel like I work too hard to... This is actually, you asked me before we started, like, how did you get into podcasting?
Yeah.
I've said this before on this show. From driving to Brisbane every day, I actually do radio ads.
Do you?
Yeah, for 4BC, for my father's company. Okay.
Yes.
So I'm always up there at 4BC. So at the time I was doing marketing in the same company. So I was ended up listening to Talkback Radio, 4BC, every day, driving to Brisbane for an hour and a half. Mm-hmm. And I got locked into Talkback and the format. And I'd go, okay, they've got 15 minutes after the news where it's solid Talkback. Here we go, bang. But before the news, there's like all these bloody ads, and you get a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Mm-hmm. And a couple of years went by when my mind went screwy. I was like, I cannot stand this. I was actually waiting for more bad news. Like,
yeah,
I was so locked into the discussion that, like, oh, here we are, we're talking about this again. No, I can't wait for some bad thing to happen. And that's where I pushed it all aside.
Yeah,
pushed it all aside for the going by exactly what you said. Mm-hmm. All that really matters is your community, the people around you.
Yeah.
And are you I found myself talking about the this horrible news to Shazza down at the chicken shop. And people would walk in, they'd be listening to me, and I realised, hang on, they're walking away thinking that I'm that guy.
Yeah,
I should be trying to brighten their day.